What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my Week 7 waiver wire video. Today, I am breaking down all the top ads you should add post Week 6 before we get into Week 7. Ton of buys coming up, so you're going to want to check this video out. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stick around for all this great content that will help you beat your friends and family in fantasy football, bring home that fantasy championship. Hit that like button if you have any questions or comments, who to cut, who to add, whatever it is. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. Let's hop into it. So at quarterback, this is a guy I think that's out there that still has some potential. I feel like rosters are starting to get thin at QB. Deshaun Watson to me is a really nice ad. I think he's looked better than people have thought. And I think if he comes back this week against Indy, that's a good matchup. Another guy I'll throw out there, Sam Howell. Been the QB 13 so far this year. Didn't have a ton of passing yards last week, but cashed in the touchdown department the week before, ton of yards. He usually gets a decent amount of attempts. I think he is a really good, solid option. He's been good every week except the week he played Buffalo. So that's another name to throw out there if you're looking for somebody. I know, like I said, there's so many buys on Week 7. So stay tuned for some guys that can help you out. Okay, at running back, my top ad, I think if we're talking on a one-week basis, it's looking like Christian McCaffrey is going to miss this next game. If Elijah Mitchell is out there in your league, I would add him. I think he is definitely worth the ad. I think he will be the starter in that backfield. They've had him inactive a lot of games trying to get him healthy. He was active this last week, so I do think it'll be him. Another name, though, to throw out alongside Elijah Mitchell, if you can't get him or you want another shot, I think this is worth it. Jordan Mason, another guy who I think could be involved. Like I said, I do think it'll be Elijah Mitchell, but you don't always know. And if something happened to Elijah Mitchell, or, let's say he's just not running well, they could potentially utilize Mason. Just the running back position a lot of people are in right now, you kind of need whatever you can get. So those are two names I think that are going to be worthwhile in the wake of that injury. Let's bring up some other guys. Zach Evans from Ole Miss. He was the #1 player coming out of high school. If he is the guy, if he's the one they use, I think he'll be pretty solid. We saw him get some run that last week, so he would probably be my top ad personally. I do worry, though, just him being a rookie and not really having played much, how much the team would trust him. Maybe they trust a guy like Royce Freeman more, but we will just find out with time. But I think both of them are worth a pickup. I think Zach Evans has more upside to me, but I think Royce Freeman is safer, so take that as you will. Another guy I think is worthy of a spot is Latavius Murray, especially Damian Harris has gone down. He was pretty utilized this last week, and like I said, with the running back position, a lot of people are in. 12 carries, 45 yards. No receptions this last week, but caught a ball or two the previous weeks. He'd be a pretty solid pickup for me at RB. There's a lot of guys, like I played Salvin Ahmed last week. I would love to plug a guy like that in. Another guy I'll throw out there, Craig Reynolds. David Montgomery is not expected to play this week. Jahmyr Gibbs likely plays, I think, but I don't think it's any guarantee. Even if Jahmyr Gibbs does play, I think you have a solid flex play. If he doesn't, I think you have a borderline RB1 probably in Craig Reynolds, even against Baltimore. With the type of volume they get in their run game, that offensive line, that offense in general, just scoring opportunities, volume, all that stuff, really going to go your way. So I definitely think Craig Reynolds is worth an ad basically in every league. That's a 12-team league or more. Even I'm sure there's 10-team leagues that could, snag him. He's worthy ad in those leagues too. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. At wide receiver, there's two guys that really stick out to me. Well, one we'll talk about. This is not the guy. He wouldn't be my top ad, but Rashid Shaheed looked good this last week, produced. But the thing that 6 targets isn't a bad number, but you see 2 the week before, 2 that week. He has some 7, some 6 weeks, but if you don't get those 6 or 7 targets, you're really not hoping for much. I wish he was more utilized, but I do think he's talented, so he's a guy to monitor to me at this point. I probably wouldn't be adding him. Brandon Powell from the Vikings, he is utilized with 4 targets. Again, not enough to get done in my mind. But we'll talk about some guys who I think have the upside. Rashee Rice, he's looked really good anytime they're going to look at the ball in his hands. They had the long break from playing on Thursday night. You can see 4 for 4 on targets for 72 yards. He just keeps playing more and more snaps as a rookie, as you should expect him to. So I think he is worthy of an ad. I think he's got a lot of upside to him. Another name I would throw out there, Josh Downs in Indy. I think as long as Gardner Minshew is a quarterback, which it's looking like could be the rest of the entire season, he's going to be good for fantasy. 8 targets this last week, only 5 for 21, but you saw 6 the previous week for 97. I think he's going to have some pretty darn good weeks the rest of the year. You just got to, hold with him on your team. Had the touchdown last week, but I think he's going to be involved enough that he's a startable receiver asset basically the rest of the season in my mind. And then this guy, if he is out there in your league, add him. I just think the talent's too great. I know he hasn't been super involved. 5 targets, it could be worse, though. 4 for 48. Definitely add him. We see rookie receivers receive, on average, about 20% more fantasy production over the second half of the season. So some of these rookies everyone is just so down on, go buy low, go add them. It'll be worth it in due time. All right, let's check out the tight end position. There's a guy here that's a clear add to me. It's Jonnu Smith. He's just been too involved these last several weeks. And, yeah, I do think there'll be weeks where it just, bottoms out and it's brutal because that's their offense. But at tight end, that's everybody. And you're telling me I'm going to book 5 targets and a solid offense, and they're going to, he's basically the number 1 tight end there with Kyle Pitts even there. I would definitely be taking some shots on him. Gerald Everett's another guy. He had 5 targets last night. I think you do a lot worse than him. They usually doesn't run the red zone. He had a drop pass. He should have had a better game. But with Mike Williams out, I think there's a lot worse you could do than him. Let's just see what Jawan Johnson did. Not much. He was hurt again. And then Njoku, I think, is solid, but I think I would head in a different direction. But I think you could do a lot worse, though. Now it's our defense, and then we will conclude the video. Commanders defense versus the Giants. That does sound like great matchups, as does Giants versus Commanders. I think I would definitely go with one of those top 2 options. I do think if taking a look at who is out there, if the Cleveland Browns are somehow out there in your defenses playing the Colts this week, I think they would be my number 1 add. But if not, I think I would take the Commanders against the Giants. All right, if you made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.